taken refuge inside of the Museum of Science and Industry. We're at the U-505 Submarine, and we're going to be talking about this in just a little bit. Submarine might be the best way to get around the area the last few days with how much rain we've had. All right, so obviously the U-505 sub here at the Museum of Science and Industry has been a staple for well over half a century, but a lot of people still have never gotten a chance to go inside. Well, we're going inside today for a tour, and you can too. In fact, you can do it for free next week. I'll have all those details. Look at how cool this is. We're inside a real submarine. All right, I'm clearly geeking out. I am geeking out here this morning because I am a huge World War II buff, and to actually step inside a real submarine is incredible. And Vula, thanks for joining us. Thanks for letting us in here this morning.
Absolutely. Welcome.
So we got to first ask, I think a lot of people that grew up in the area might know that there's a submarine at Museum of Science and Industry, but even getting the submarine here is an incredible story. How did we get this thing?
Well, first of all, the capture was on June 4th of 1944, and it's fortunate for us that Captain Dan Gallery, who led the task force on the USS Guadalcanal that captured the sub, was a Chicago native. So in the late 1940s, he convinced the Navy not to scrap the U-505 and to transfer the rights over to the Museum of Science and Industry, which they did. And it eventually made its way through the Great Lakes, came to Chicago, and temporarily parked on the 57th Avenue beach for a few months in 1954.
That must have been a sight to see on the beach, yeah?
It was a sight to see, and we have several photos showing bathers just bathing and doing their thing right in front of the submarine on the beach here.
Would have made for a good live shot out there, yeah.
Probably, yes. And then eventually it made its way to the museum, and the dedication was in September of 1954, and it became a permanent part of the museum at that time.
It was outside for a while, then the weather of Chicago may take its toll, so you moved it inside. We'll talk more about that history in a bit and how you can see it for free, but what are we looking at right now? This is the engine room we think we're looking towards.
So we're looking towards the engine room. There's a bunch of diesel engines in there, and you can
Which, by the way, you can still smell.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's one of the beautiful things about the U-505 is it still has the feel and the smell from back in the times. And so, yeah, you see all the dials, and we have torpedo rooms that are on either side of the sub.
Yeah, look at there. And look, do people sleep in the torpedo room?
Yeah, absolutely. That's where many of the bunks were. And you can see that the torpedo tubes are right towards the back right there. And in fact, when this room was going to be used in times of battle, they would actually move those bunks out of the way so that they can have access to the torpedo tubes.
We're going to take a look more at some stuff, Vula, and obviously the hydraulics, and also we're going to talk about the restoration of those things. We'll get to all that in a little bit, but I want to let people know that next week, June 3, 4, 5, the museum is having their free days for Illinois residents. You can get into the 75th anniversary exhibit 345 for free, and on the 4th specifically, you can get inside the boat for free. Go to msichicago.org for all the information on the free days. I'm so excited to explore this thing some more. I'm having flashbacks to where I slept in a dorm room in college here, but Vula, you're telling me this is one of the nicer sleeping quarters on the boat.
Absolutely. There are several bunks all throughout the submarine. This is actually one of the nicer areas where some of the officers might have slept. But if you look through here, this is one of the other torpedo rooms of the sub. You can see more bunks in here, and this would have been more for the enlisted men.
They would sleep next to the torpedoes?
Absolutely. They would eat next to their torpedoes. They would sleep next to their torpedoes. And if there was a battle, they would actually move these bunks right out of the way if necessary.
Oh, my goodness. They slept in rotations too, right?
Yes, absolutely. Something that was called hot bunking. So they would just sleep through rotations whenever they had a chance and they were not on duty.
That's incredible. Let's take a look down the galleyway. They'd cook in here. They'd smoke in here. They'd do everything in here.
Absolutely. They'd play games, chess, checkers. It was all about keeping morale high whenever possible. And they would read. There were magazines found on board, all sorts of things.
It's incredible. It's U-505. Again, we've got museum free days coming up next week, the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th. You can get into the Museum of Science and Industry for free if you're an Illinois resident. You can see the exhibit is too, celebrating the 75th anniversary of the submarine's capture. And on the anniversary itself, June 4th, free tours, right?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, msichicago.org. Check it out, guys. All right, going to take a nap in here on board the U-505 sub. Yep. That's right, and I'm in the kitchen as well. So, Vula, what are we cooking up here this morning for our segment?
Probably some eggs and some sausage.
Oh, good. And we have the sink right here, too. This thing got a garbage disposal or what?
No, not quite. But we do have a drain that's on the floor here.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Anything happens on live TV. By the way, this is where I could go up. Don't want to go outside today, though. It's cloudy and a little rainy as well. Vula, as we send Dustin to the back of this thing, by the way, he's going to walk through the hallways. We are so lucky to be able to have this exhibit here in Chicago.
Absolutely. We're very excited about having it and proud that it's here. It commemorates the lives of the thousands of men and women who participated in World War II and the many lives that were lost at sea.
Yeah, absolutely true. And as we see here, as Dustin continues to do this tight walk, some incredible videography work there by Dustin, seeing where the officer slept, seeing the galley, and then going on back and seeing the restoration efforts that were made as he goes and shows kind of where the guts of the ship were and all these dials. I mean, that took a lot of work to do.
Absolutely, a lot of research and a lot of work. It was all about redoing those dials, repainting them and restoring them to actually match the original Kriegsmarine colors from World War II.
What an awesome opportunity for people to check out the Museum of Science and Industry. Next week, there are free days, the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th for Illinois residents. You can check out the exhibit that you have commemorating the 75th anniversary of the capture on those days, and then you can actually get in the boat on the anniversary, right?
Yes, that is right, June 4th.
And what an awesome experience. There's nothing like being able to see, feel, smell, and touch history right before us.
Absolutely. Very excited.
Go to msichicago.org for more information. What a cool morning at the Museum of Science and Industry. Again, next week, June 3, 4, 5. Those are your free days. And on June 4th, you can get in this thing for free as well. What a great chance to check it out.